Hey everyone, I'm Charlie and I'm joined here today by your next favorite artist. It's New Zealand-based singer-songwriter Jude Kelly. How are you doing?
Hello, Charlie. Thanks for having me.
Now, you've recently released your second single, which it's crazy to think it's only your second song, Siren Song. Could you tell us a little bit about this track?
Yeah, the song itself was I started the demo in 2022, and we kind of shopped it around. Well, I shopped it around a couple of producers and didn't quite find the right fit, and then I brought it to a producer called Josh Fountain, who is a great producer here in New Zealand, and we started making a demo and basically what it is today. We had an incredible producer also on it, Devin Abrams, doing like production flair. But the whole I don't know, this song was I'm really happy. This is probably one of my favorite songs to come out. And I think because it was something that I thought was going to be shelved because no one was really gravitating towards it. Um, but we've managed to keep the same guitar parts. We've expanded the writing into what it is, and yeah, we can go more into that if you want at some point. But yeah, that's kind of like how we kind of got to where we are today with that song. But yeah, it's all the live instruments have been recorded at Roundhead Studios, which is really great. We tried to make sure that everything down to like the little bits were done as best as we could.
Hmm. And yeah, as you mentioned, your songwriting, you focus on a real narrative style, which I love. I'm a massive reader, so your music spoke to me. You have such like cinematic world building. In Siren Song, you've got references to classic literature, including Alice's Adventures in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Love this so much. Would you mind sharing a glimpse into your songwriting process and how you go about building these rich and deep narratives?
Yeah, definitely. I think because I was always like a writer, like a free writer for most when I was growing up, and that was like more of like my creative outlet, I guess, in terms of how I express things. And I think as I've gotten older, but also gotten a better songwriter, that has definitely like become the way that I write. But the way that I do write is typically through improv, over an instrument or over like a bit of a demo, or by myself with just a vocal. But I'll be recording it, and then I kind of like to pull out themes that are there, and by doing that, you're kind of like tapping into that adaptive subconscious. So there's no premeditative thought about I want to write a song about this specific thing, and I want to get like these types of like this type of imagery in it. It kind of happens quite naturally, but it was really fun with the Alice in Wonderland stuff because, um, you know, I really like this song, and the way that I write is very visual, and I think by storytelling, I'm able to share really personal feelings without it being super attached to like moments in time that have happened. I do write very much like perspective on the way that I feel and see the world and how I observe it. And we can see that with the other songs that I have written as well, which I'm really excited about. Um, but with Alice in Wonderland, I was stoked because basically I wrote that bridge, and it kind of just like came out. Oh, Alice, did you find the way? Did the rabbit take your name? And I was like, oh, that's like that falling down the well is like the perfect visual to capture what the song is, of being like, whoa, all these things passing you. It's like a bit of a bad trip. But then I was like, okay, I've got to do my research here because I'm going to be referencing this song quite heavily, like this movie quite heavily, or this literature quite heavily. I've got to go in and see like what is the full scope of everything. But I went in and I watched the movies and I read like some poetry and stuff. But when I was watching the second movie, and this is what I didn't know, and this is where I was like, I don't know if I can swear, but holy shit. The second movie is based fully on time. Like the whole thing is about running out of time. And I just thought that was like, one, a complete fluke. Because obviously the lyric in Siren Song is time doesn't wait for you.
Mhm.
And it kind of, yeah, so I really leaned in on that one. And I think, man, I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but
Oh, we,
I
we
also
love
felt,
Alice in Wonderland, so whatever you've got to say about it, I'm
yeah.
eating it up.
No, I love it. But I also think like, connecting songs and the stories to a point in childhood is really, how do I word this right? I think it's really important for the storytelling, and especially now, as like this is kind of the first work that a lot of people are hearing from me.
Mm.
And a lot of our perspectives that we have on the world and how we see it is very much based on like what was introduced to us as children. So those like little links, because there's a few links like that throughout the songs, are kind of like little nods to those things, those childhood references. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I'd love to know, how does that feel? Like you said, you went back and revisited all the source material for the Alice Adventures. How
Yeah.
does it feel stepping back into these nostalgic properties and actually like reconnecting what they originally meant to you with their current meaning? How was that journey?
I think I mean, you kind of said it. It's very connecting, and I think when you're creating, I think there's a lot of creatives can feel like they're detached from their kind of child self, and I think that's when we start to think too much about what we're creating. But your imagination as a kid is kind of the best of it, right? So like if you're able to kind of, and that's what we experienced with this whole record, was kind of like, you know, the songs seem serious for sure, like they seem deep, dramatic, serious songs. But the nature of the way that they were made was very playful and very childlike. It was very like, let's just see where this will go, and experimenting. And I think, yeah, I'm not sure if that answers your question exactly, but that's kind of, I mean, yeah, you said it yourself, it's very, very connecting.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And you're speaking to the feeling of like experimental, let's see where this goes. But something so unique and enticing about your music, at least to me personally, is
Thank
that
you.
sound. You've got like a soulful folk pop, and you cite references such as Haim and Maggie Rogers, which I
Yeah.
definitely see the Haim. Their latest album connected to your music, I can see that so
Yeah.
vividly, and I love that.
So good.
But I'd love to know a bit more about how you came to develop this like uniquely captivating and uniquely yours type of
Mm.
sound.
Oh, I love that. I'm really pleased that you hear that. I think I just had a lot of different references, and I think because my way of music and listening to it growing up was very like on my own terms. Like I grew up in like more of a Christian environment, so I was only really allowed to listen to like more worship music or like quite clean music. And I think kind of the Western stuff that comes through in my sound is like kind of where that comes from a little bit. And also just like, I don't know if you listen to much gospel music, but it's very like drony and whatever. But then as I obviously grew, I was dabbling in my own fields, and because there wasn't necessarily like an overarching voice of like, you should listen to this music is cool, it meant that I was able to play and figure out what I really like on my own. But I listened to like a lot of folk growing up. But I also listened to like a lot of Womad and Santana when I was like a kid at my grandma's. And then it kind of went into the soul, and kind of became obsessed with like Alicia Keys and Adele and these like crazy powerful vocalists. And I was just like in awe of them. And obviously Lana Del Rey came around, and yeah, it kind of, it's I've always been baffled because there hasn't been like one thing to be able to like push towards, but I think that's where it's kind of where am at the moment is, and where why I am the way I am is because of all the different variety of people that I've listened to and I've been influenced by. Um, but yeah, and yeah, I feel like that's like I could talk about that for ages.
Yeah, absolutely. You look back and realize you're merely like a kaleidoscope and a collage of everything you've listened to, every little part of your life has like created the current
Yeah,
sound. Mm.
yeah, yeah, and I think that it's like people. I think that's something that's always been quite interesting, and something I've had to push is people want to know like a buzzword to like put you in so they can understand it. And yeah, I haven't necessarily been able to like find that little thing to fit into the pocket, but um, yeah, it's kind of why we've really decided to like lean into the way that I write songs, and um, be quite experimental and use those references where they fit.
Yeah, absolutely. And just wait a few more years. Like, there's going to be kids in their press kit being like, I sound like Jude Kelly. That's my musical inspiration.
God, good luck. No, I'm
Yes.
kidding. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'd love to just talk very quickly about Bonnet Bunny. Came out still quite recently, which is insane to have two impeccable singles in such a short time. Your discography is absolutely insane right now. And
Thanks.
honestly, I'm sitting here like on repeat. I'm like, yes, I love this. You've recently signed to Future Classic. Amazing stuff happening from you. What can us new fans expect to hear from you throughout this year?
I mean, just more, like more and more and more. We've been working 3 years on this record, and and a lot of hands have gone into it. And I think it's been something that, we're at the point where now we're letting it all go, and it's just a matter of time to be able to share it with everyone's ears. Um, and so yeah, just really, I'm excited to share the whole record. Much kind of sooner than I think a lot of people think, which is like really exciting, and more live shows. Yeah, planning some more things on the way. So yeah, I'm really hoping I can come over to Australia sometime and do some shows as well, because that would be really awesome.
Yeah, that was my thought just then. I'm like, live shows? Can you come here?
Live show. Yeah, definitely. I think that's like a big target for us this year. Yeah, yeah, it'd be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on that note, I've got our final question for today, which is more of like an opportunity for you. I'd love to give you some time and space to shout out any of your favorite artists, either based in New Zealand or Australia. Who have you been listening to and loving?
Ooh, oh my gosh. Okay. This is always such a hard one. I have been loving, there's this new duo called Elliot and Vincent. They're kind of just like a rock probably is just a very general term for them, but like they're just like a duo, drummer and guitar. And Juno is an amazing artist as well. Have you heard of Juno?
I haven't, no.
I feel like you'd probably dig it a lot. It's really amazing. Yeah, there's so many. I don't know, saltwater criminals. There's a lot, but yeah, I think they're mostly New Zealand artists at the moment. Yeah,
That's fair enough. I feel like in like the big global scene, you look at it and then there's like you can see the American and sort of like the globalized
yeah,
pop that like you go on TikTok, you see these artists always blowing up, and I'm like, what about us down here in like the bottom
yeah,
of the world? We've got some amazing stuff happening here. And it's just waiting for these artists to actually crack onto this like Americanized image of the music industry.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, but
But yeah,
good time.
but yeah. If anyone's just tuned in, this is Jude Kelly, latest song, Siren Song, out everywhere now. Please go give a listen. You will love it. Whether you're like a literary nerd like me or you just love a good story, this is the song for you. Also, like film kits, this is a very transportative thing. I shut my eyes, I feel like I'm in a movie scene. I love how you can create that. It is so special.
Oh my God, thank you so much, Charlie.